Now, let me take this opportunity to welcome our chief guest, Padma Shri Professor Sudhir K. Jain, the former Vice Chancellor of Banaras Hindu University and founding director of IIT Gandhinagar. Sir, we warmly welcome you to the graduation day ceremony of Adani Institute of Infrastructure Engineering. Professor Sudhir K. Jain is an internationally renowned academic leader and scholar with a distinguished track record in institution building, policy reform, and higher education governance. Professor Jain was a faculty member at IIT Kanpur for 35 years. He holds a Bachelor of Engineering degree from the University of Roorkee and master's and doctoral degrees from the California Institute of Technology. Professor Jain currently chairs the National Committee for the Guru Setu, National Initiative on Capacity Building of Faculty, and the Program Implementation Committee of the Nurturing Future Leadership Program, two key initiatives of the Government of India aimed at strengthening faculty development in higher education. The Government of India conferred the Padma Shri on him in 2020. He was awarded the Distinguished Alumnus Award by California Institute of Technology in 2022 and by IIT Roorkee in 2018. He served as the president of the International Association for Earthquake Engineering from 2014 to 2018. He was elected as a fellow of the National Academy of Engineering in 2003 and an international member of the US National Academy of Engineering in 2021. Now, I would like to invite our esteemed chief guest, Padma Shri Professor Sudhir K. Jain, for his address.
Professor Ravi Singh, Provost, Adani University, senior colleagues on the dais, all my friends on the faculty of Adani, students and parents. I'm delighted to be here today. Your Provost, Professor Ravi Singh, is known to me for almost 35 years. And when he asked me whether I can come here on this very important occasion, I was very delighted to accept his very generous, very kind invitation to speak to you. As you already heard from the speakers today, very important milestone in your life, transiting from student life to the life, as they say, in the real world. For somebody like me, I used to say that I have lived through a very interesting time where when I entered into engineering college in 1975, that is 50 years back, I was using the same device for calculations that my father or my grandfather or my great-grandfather might have used, called slide rule. There were no calculators at the time. So I started with my student life using the same tools, same methods for making a engineering drawing, same method of calculating as my father, my grandfather, my great-grandfather used. And during my 50 years after going to college, we moved from slide rule to calculator, programmable calculator later. It was a joy to be able to put some number, multiply by another number, and you get a number on a calculator. It was a magic for me as a young student. When I entered into the college, I was told that if you are very good in using slide rule, if you can accurately calculate using slide rule fast enough, you will be able to do your exam papers in time, you will be able to do your calculations in time. By the time I graduated, those calculators were nothing less than magic for us, that in our hands there was an electronic device where we could take a logarithmic or raised to the power something and very quickly calculate numbers. Another few years, I started to see programmable calculators where you can program a calculator. Some more years, we started to see computers that became personal computers. More time passed, laptops, iPads, cell phones. It was only 15 years back that I heard for the first time a word called app. In last few years, the artificial intelligence, I remember not long back, in November or December 2022, somebody showed me a magic that on a cell phone, somebody said, on this cell phone, I'm saying I need to give a convocation speech at Banaras Hindu University, and the artificial intelligence created a fantastic speech for a speaker to speak to the graduating students of Banaras Hindu University. He said, how? And I was amazed. Today, I use artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, or other devices very routinely on my cell phone and iPad. What I'm trying to say, my dear friends, is in my 50 years, 1975 to 2025, I have seen so much change that many, many generations before me did not see. But what I can guarantee to you is that the change that you will see in your life will be far, far more than what I have seen. Far, far more. Right? What that means is everything that you have learned, everything you have anticipated, everything you are expecting today will be questioned very soon. Your knowledge will become obsolete very quickly. And this is a very, very difficult situation to be in for young people like you. Most of you are in your early 20s. To be told that by a speaker like me, that in my 50 years there has been so much change, which are enormous, and I'm telling you that you will have far, far more change in your lifetime than I have seen. Not only that, we are also telling you about climate change. We are scaring you and telling you that, look, we don't know how the temperatures will rise, how the sea water levels will rise, and how the entire ecosystem of human living on this planet will be affected. These are very, very difficult times. And for young people like you, who are at a transit stage from academic life to real world life, and soon you will start to get into certain family life, and so on and so forth. This is a very, very important, very critical phase of your life, and that is when we are telling you all of this. This can be very overwhelming. This can be very scary. And I hope that studying at Adani Institute, you have learned what your provost, Professor Ravi Singh, used in his speech, a word, resilience. Resilience is about going through difficult situations and coming out of it. Resilience is about falling down, but then getting up. Resilience is about not giving up. Resilience is about struggling. If there is one thing that today's generation needs, it is resilience. And I'm very happy that your provost is concerned about it and made a special remark about it in his speech. We had Olympics in Paris not too long back. What do Olympics tell us? The world's most accomplished athlete or athletes compete in Olympics, and the best of the best, they're given the gold medals or the silver medals. Who are these people? They are the best people, best in the world. But when they go to Olympics, They are all accompanied by several coaches. Why? Because learning never stops. There is no limit to excellence. There is no limit to improving. And if you want to be the best, you have to keep improving. You have to keep learning. What that means is that learning never stops. Not for you who are in your 20s, and not for me who is in his 60s. We all need to keep learning. We all need to keep improving. We all need to do better. It is not about I doing better than somebody else. It is about I doing better than what I did yesterday, what I did 1 month back, 1 year back. If I were to ask, what is it that you became better today than what you were 6 months back? There should be something that you say, I did not have skill set for doing this, and I read this book and I learned this. I met this person and I was inspired and I improved myself in this. I watched this TED talk and I thought about it, and it helped me to improve my whatever, whether it is sport, whether it is personal qualities, interaction, technical knowledge, anything like that. Education, learning, improving, whatever you want to call it, must not stop. Not for you and not for me. It is not that only 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds need to improve. Even I think 60-year-olds and 70-year-olds need to improve. In fact, there was an interview that some magazine conducted for me when I had been in my early years at IIT Gandhinagar as a director. And I mentioned that in my young days, my mentors used to be my seniors. And now several of my mentors are my younger colleagues, younger students. Because I found that I can learn something very interesting from people much younger than me. And in certain aspects, they became my mentor. They became my teachers. They started to help me improve my game. Right? Game of life. Not just game of tennis or game of badminton, but game of life. You're all engineering student. When I went to Roorkee as a young boy, 16 years age, I started to notice something very interesting. I was a topper of the class, and to anticipate what my future will be like, I started to try to observe what my seniors who were toppers of their class, how they were doing. People who are 2 years senior to me, 4 years senior to me, 6 years senior to me, 8 years senior to me. And I discovered something very interesting. I discovered that many of the toppers before me had done very well, but many of the toppers before me had done very poorly. I also started to observe many seniors who had been very successful in life, who would tell me, हम जब पढ़ते थे क्लास अटेंड नहीं करते थे, बड़ी मुश्किल से पास हुए. It was very fun time. I never studied and I hardly passed, and I see this person to be very successful. In very early years of my college life, I discovered that being good in studies is not always an indicator of success in life. When you look around, you will see that many very successful people are toppers of their college, but also there are many successful people who did very poorly in class. You will also see many successful people who have gone to top ranked universities and colleges, but you will also see many very successful people who didn't go to very top ranking colleges and universities. What I'm trying to tell you, my friends, is that college education, marks, degrees, rank in the class, they are absolutely not a guarantee for success. It is something much more. It is about your human qualities. It is about your qualities such as your values, your ethics, your attitude, your life skills. How do you deal with the environment? How do you deal with people? With your family, with your friends, with your colleagues, with your juniors, with your seniors. As a young person coming out of college, there are two things that are perhaps most challenging things in front of a young person, or most important things. One is job, and job is very well connected with the money. The more money, the better the job. Less money, not so good job. We can challenge that. We can question that. Here I am as a young 22-year-old, fresh out of college. Somebody gives me lots of money, but I'm not learning, I'm not growing, I'm not becoming better. In other words, in my walk towards success, I'm standing where I'm standing, or I'm slowly walking, very slowly walking. And here is another person who is not getting such a good salary, who is in fact getting much smaller salary, but he's learning. His job is enabling him to learn. His job is enabling this young person to improve his or her game. In the walk towards success, in the walk towards life, the second person is walking faster and very soon will overtake the first person. And before long, you will see that the second person who started his job at a lower salary, lower rank, lower quality of company, for example, less reputed company, might be much ahead of the person who got a higher salary, because this person with a higher salary was not in a learning environment, was not having learning opportunities. So, there are two most important things for you at this time. One is job. I would not say job, I would not say money, I would say career. And second is, of course, who will be your life partner, whom you will marry. Right? These are the two most important things that a young person at this age would be concerned about. And the second part, who will be your life partner, has something to do with your job also. With the salary. Somebody is going to ask, what is the CTC of the boy before I start to talk about the matrimonial of my girl. But let me assure you that money is not wealth. In fact, one of the quiz question I sometimes ask people is, what is the difference between being rich and being wealthy? Right? Being rich is about having a very expensive car. Being rich is about having nice jewelry, very nice clothes, very good apartment or house, servants, and whatever, luxuries. That is rich. But you could be rich and you could have been borrowing money to do all that. You could have taken a huge loan to buy that car. You may be struggling to pay the installments of that loan. That is rich. Wealthy is the person who has options in life, who can decide that, I don't like this job, even though they give me so much money. I'm going to leave this job and join an NGO which is not going to give me much money, but it will give me a lot of satisfaction and I'll have fun. That is wealth. Wealth enables you to choose your life. Wealth enables you to decide, okay, here is a young boy or girl in my neighborhood from a very poor family, and I'm going to send him to Adani Institute and pay all his tuition fee. I can afford it. That is wealth. Wealth is not about having a more expensive car or better house. Wealth is about having options in life. Wealth is about being able to do what you wish to do. That is wealth. That brings us to another very important thing that perhaps is very, very relevant for Indian context. When we go on a road, when we go anywhere, we see a lot of people, or some people, depending on which part of India you are in. In some parts of India, you will see a lot more very, very poor people. And some parts of India, you'll see less, but you will always see some people. These are the people who have had, by accident of birth, all opportunities denied to them. They didn't get, their parents couldn't get them education, proper medical care, housing, food. Just because we are sitting here today or standing here today, just because we got a good education from good institutions like Adani, just because our parents are able to educate us, it is entirely an accident of birth. It is just that we are fortunate to be in that situation. Let us all acknowledge that accident, and let us say that besides building our own future, besides building our own career, besides worrying about our own family, extended family, we also have certain responsibility towards the underprivileged people, towards the people who, not for any fault of theirs, but because of accident of birth, could not have the opportunities that we had. We can't remove the poverty of the entire country, city, or society. But there will be somebody, or there will be some people in our immediate context, in our immediate neighborhood, whose misery we might be able to reduce, whose children we might be able to give an opportunity to study further, whose families we might be able to help in some ways. Let you, graduates of Adani, be not just those who are building their own careers, their own family, their own wealth, but also be very responsible citizens to think it their responsibility to contribute whatever is within your means, whatever is reasonably possible, to some people around you who are less privileged. An occasion like this, everybody is very excited to get their degrees, your parents are all here, and you don't want to hear long lectures. But let me touch upon one more issue that causes me some amount of concern. Unfortunately, in Indian academia, far too often we are treating our students as infants, as children. We try to tell them how to do every little thing. We think that they are not responsible. We think that young people know less than we do. And we try to become people with larger wisdom. I have seen PhD students being genuinely treated as bachas. I've heard senior professors calling junior faculty as bachas. Right? To my mind, this is something that is hampering our young people to learn to take decisions. Because for every decision, you need parental supervision or teacher supervision. One of the exercise I used to do with the first year students of IIT Gandhinagar when I was the director is to ask how many of you have ever bought a shirt or a pant or a shoe without parental supervision. And very few people used to raise their hands. And then I used to say that in 4 years' time, you will have to decide what your life will be like. Chances are that after 4 years or just before 4 years, you might even have to decide who will be your life partner, because you might get connected with one girl or one boy while you are in college or maybe after college. So somebody who has not bought ever a shirt will have to take a decision whether to work in Bangalore or in Hyderabad, and whether to take this apartment or that apartment, or whether to take this job or that job, and whether to make this arrangement for food or that arrangement for food, and whether to date this girl or this boy or that boy. You need to learn to take decisions. And learning to take decisions is like learning to ride a bike. All of you have perhaps learned a small little thing called bicycle. Huh? You used to fall. You kept falling and you kept improving. Decision taking is the same thing. You will take mistakes. You will take wrong decisions. You will buy wrong shirt. Somebody would give you a shirt that may not look so nice on you. Somebody may give you a shirt that may be too expensive, or a shirt that may soon start to lose color when washed. But life will not end with one wrong choice of shirt. You will learn how to buy a shirt. When you start to learn that, you start to learn to not only buy a shirt, but you also learn to take consequences of making mistakes. You cannot buy a shirt and make a mistake and go to mommy and say, "Mommy," and start crying that I bought a wrong shirt. You have to swallow it. You have to swallow your pride. I went to the shop and I bought a wrong shirt. And you have to improve your game. Next time you will buy a better shirt. And slowly you will learn to take decisions. You will learn to make mistakes. Unfortunately, we as parents, we as teachers have become so intolerant of you letting you make mistakes that we want to come forward. Before you can make mistake, we want to tell you, don't do this. We have to allow you to make mistakes so you can learn to improve your game of taking decisions. As you graduate from the college, I hope that all of you will think about that. How do you improve your game to take decisions? And taking decisions comes with learning to take responsibility for those decisions. And that gets connected with the courage. I will take this decision. I know it can go wrong. I'm willing to take the consequences. I'm willing to stick my neck out, and I know this decision can be wrong, but I will bear the consequences. That is courage, right? So I hope you will think about improving your game as you graduate from Adani today, and I hope you will have a fulfilling life where you will not only look at your career, but also your social network, your relationships, whether relationships with your family, with your friends, with your colleagues, with your employers, and your health. If I were to define happiness, then perhaps it is a summation of all of these: the career, the family, the relationships, the health, and so on and so forth. My best wishes to all of you. I hope you'll have a fulfilling life. I congratulate all of you. I congratulate your parents for having supported you, for having enabling you to go through very rigorous studies in a very eminent institution. And my best wishes to all of you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for reiterating the importance of resilience, lifelong learning, and human values. With immense gratitude and respect, I now invite the Director of AIER to come forward and present the special memento to our Honorable Chief Guest.